Hey YouTube, it's Diaphone. Today we're going to be talking about the easiest and hardest characters in Melty Blood type Lumina. A couple things before we start. One, I gathered the opinion of a lot of different players that I know, also my Twitch chat and YouTube comments, but I also want to say, just because your character might be hard or very easy doesn't necessarily mean this should 100% determine your main. I honestly believe that in any fighting game, you should really pick your main based on who you like, and if that character happens to be easy, even better. But if you can't decide between a couple mains, you really don't know who you like, Maids can help provide you with some guidance. And we'll also talk about a little bit of overview about each of the characters, right? One other thing, just to explain how we're going to be doing this, there's a concept of what we call a skill floor and a skill ceiling. A skill floor is like how much time does it take to be competent with the character. So let's say in the terms of Melty, it would be like making A rank or something like that. And then there's a skill ceiling is like how much time does it take to truly master the character, learn all the ins and outs. So because this is designed for newer players, we're going to be talking specifically about that skill floor, or how long does it take to get competent. You know, there's some characters like Kouma, who I think are really easy, right, to start off with because they have some very basic stuff that is very effective, but he also has some very technical stuff. So he's a character we call low skill floor and a high skill ceiling. So let's get started. I guess we'll start with Kouma since he's already on the list. I actually think this character is super easy. Why? Because he's basically a gorilla in disguise. He has very, what we call brawlic buttons, like very big buttons with a lot of active frames. For example, his armor jump C, he has armor on some other moves, and they're just very easy and effective to throw out, right? His pressure's very basic. You just kind of go into armored specials or the grab or the rekkas, and you kind of maul from there, right? And he has an overhead rekka to catch people. He also has some of the, I'd say, like scrubbiest moves that, unless you're like very experienced at the game, you're not going to be able to stop very well. These moves are his 2-2C, which gives him like super armor basically, and is pretty safe if you don't to activate if you don't know how to deal with it. It also is 2BC moon skill. It has armor and then it leads to into an overhead, which I still haven't met anyone that's blocked it when I do it. So Kouma's a pretty good way to get those free wins and to be, you know, competent with him. Yeah, his Oki's also really easy to do too. Once you learn the bread and butter, just edit a command grab and then you can do kind of like a left-right. He's pretty sick, pretty easy to pick up, and you only really need to know one combo. All right, so let's talk about Saber. This is who I main actually, and I think she's also super easy tier. Neutral, very basic. You just need to do a couple different things. Spam charge jump C, do 2C when they get close, and then do something like a 214B and cancel on the super. And the super is +8 on block, so that's pretty easy. And then you just kind of maul with that. Control neutral. All you need to do is learn one combo. That combo goes into a knockdown situation, and then you keep repeating that knockdown situation until they die, or you go back to neutral and then you repeat that. Very basic game plan, very easy. I actually have a guy on my YouTube if you're interested in her. Go check that out. But yeah, it's definitely super easy tier. So let's talk about Miyako. She's like easy or super easy. So maybe I'll explain my thought process and then it'll come to me. So the reason why I think she's an easier character is like a lot of characters, they have to work to mix you up. Her, she just does a special move that crosses you up and it's very hard to shield. You just get a combo from that once you cancel it, right? She doesn't have like the most straightforward neutral because her buttons aren't that good, right? Especially her grounded buttons. But she's very mobile, which, you know, mobile characters can be kind of hard to control a little bit. But again, her air mobility is crazy. She can just like fly at you and press either like a JA or the moon skill dive that she has, or her jump C, and she can get in and then you just do the cross up and then they get mixed. And it's not too hard, honestly. Yeah, a lot of like Leo plus Jam energy, if you guys are familiar with Guilty Gear. If Kouma's the slow gorilla, she's like the fast gorilla. So, you know, I'm gonna put her in super easy tier. So Akiha, I think Akiha is actually probably in the more effort required tier. She's one of the hardest in the game in my opinion, and she's not that hard. Just overall, Melty Blood is like very easy game, I think, to get into compared to something like Guilty Gear, which I think there's characters like Zato that take way more work to get competent with than any character on this list. But the reason I think she's more effort required is like she has a lot of tools that are very specific for certain uses. Her neutral isn't very like straightforward. Like a lot of the neutral I see from Akiha is like just throwing your blood ring out and like hoping they screw up, which isn't like the most stable game plan. And then she doesn't have like the best normals to like kind of go in, so you kind of have to like space her stuff pretty well. And then she also has like what we call Oki or knockdown situations are a little more complex, right? And you could throw like meaty wheels, but then they get shielded and you have to learn like a lot of different interactions with that. And she has a lot more like optimal stuff, like optimal setups too, but those again take time to learn. So, or even her basic bread and butter, I think is a little more difficult than some of the characters in the super easy tier. Vlov. I think Vlov is either super easy or easy. He's like the token zoner of the game. So if you're looking for someone just to like zone people out, he's your character, right? And generally zoners typically tend to be pretty easy. He's no exception. He has 2 very good zoning moves, and if you're looking to like destroy new players, just pick Vlov. I mean, honestly, you could just like throw the projectiles, and a lot of people have difficulty dealing with that. At higher levels, right, they're just, people are gonna start shielding that stuff on reaction, get free move meter, and you do have to interact. But against newer players, it's definitely free wins. And he has very good normals. He has very good mood skills to deal with stuff. So yeah, let's call him super easy. Roa. I think Roa is a easy character. He's kind of like, he's sort of a zoner. He has like a couple zoning moves, but they don't like actually have full screen. You kind of have to play like 3-4 screen neutral with him, which is like kind of hard distance to play. And I don't think his tools are that straightforward either. I think in order to be like competent with him, you have to like understand how to use his like lightning super, for example, to create good knockdown situations in order to go in, which is a little more than like some of these characters have to do, where you kind of just like do air throw and then mix them up. So yeah, I think he's easy. He has some pretty good tools, but again, they're not straightforward on how to use them. His normals aren't very straightforward either. You kind of just like have to zone out and play patient with that. So Maids, I think Maids, I would put them hard, but I think in general characters in this game are pretty easy to learn. So I put Maids in the more effort required. Yeah, I think the Maids have the highest skill ceiling of any character in the game, just because like there's 2 characters, and I think optimal maid play probably involves swapping between the 2. You know, a lot of people just pick Maids and then they pick Hisui on point and they just abuse how cheap she is, which is a very good strategy, don't get me wrong, but even Hisui on point does take a good amount of work. And some of the knockdown situations you get with Kohaku backup, you can create a sandwich situation and then you can do block strings that depend on where Kohaku is on screen. So there's a lot to manage, a lot of moving parts, which is why I put this character in more effort required. But if you're looking for someone that can play like a very well-rounded game with very strong knockdown situation, Maids is probably the character for you. All right, so let's talk about Noel. I think Noel's a super easy or easy character. Kind of debating here. Think of it, Noel as like your mid-range, very strong pokes, very good neutral kind of character, right? Doesn't have anything super cheap, but can just control a lot of space. Because he doesn't have like anything super cheap that's like abusable in my opinion, I kind of want to put her in easy. She also has like daggers that she can throw, but it is limited. You can't just keep spamming them. I think you get 10 per round. And so characters with like additional meter or resource management, I think tend to be a little harder too. So yeah, I'm gonna put her in easy for that. Yeah, she does have some godly normals like 5C, 2C, 100% agree. All right, let's talk about Kohaku. I actually, I feel like Kohaku is probably like the least popular character in this game. So if you want to be a special snowflake, pick this character. But she's also kind of like your poke focus neutral compared to Hisui, where you have like good long range normals. And she also has like very strong knockdown situations. So if you're looking for a character like that, Kohaku is probably your main. I think because again, her knockdown situations take a lot of optimization in order for you to get competent with her. I think this character is probably the more effort required. And also there's less resources to learn from for her. So I think that's also another negative against her. Yeah, why pick Kohaku over Duo exactly? That's also the issue. Oh, I definitely agree Maids are better than Kohaku, but just learning one single maid is probably easier, right? And if you learn one maid, you're probably gonna want to learn both, and they both have like similar knockdown situations, but generally people think Hisui is better currently. She has a like more consistent game plan. The other maid has some more bullshit. I honestly don't know what to say about Hisui. That they're all very similar characters, Maids together, Hisui and Kohaku. I think obviously Maids require the most effort because it is technically 2 characters and there's like some optimization you can do, but the Maids are very similar to their solo counterparts. I mean, they basically have all the same moves, except Maids, they just borrow moves from one another. And I think they all like, they both have good neutral, but they really excel on knockdown. And in order to optimize that knockdown, it does require some effort. I'm not going to go too much into detail of Ishii's characters. Hisui also feels like she has more cheap stuff. Like she can throw out the EX Fireball, she can throw out the Cake tower. She also has that yeah move. Hisui just seems like she has like easier to use tools than Kohaku, but that might just be like a factor of her strength. All right, so red Arcueid. The difference. Let's talk about both Arcueids at the same time. So I think red Arcueid is actually a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to say which one's harder. So let's talk about the difference between the two. Red Arcueid, I would always call her like a flashier version of regular Arcueid. Like she has a fireball, she has teleports, but they both have like very similar normals, where regular Arcueid has better pressure options. So for example, if she has something like an overhead Rekka and kind of like a lunge move. Overall, you know, they share a lot of the same moves, so I think they probably deserve to be in the same tier. I personally found like Arcueid's like neutral game plan kind of hard because you don't have like very spammable pokes. You don't really have zoning to do. It's more of you have to get in and then you have to mix them up once you get in with stuff like Charge 5B and her Rekkas, for example. And then same thing with red Arcueid. Like I want to say red Arcueid's like probably a little easier because you have a fireball to rely on a neutral to kind of like help you out a little bit. Yeah, and both of these have like a free Gale jail card. You know, well, most characters in this game have a free Gale jail card when you activate Moon Drive and then you do your Moon skill. 3BC for these characters is especially good because it's a DP that can be jump cancelable, so it's a little harder to deal with than some of the other Moon skills. Yeah, I think both these characters probably go up here. I don't think the differentiation's too much of them, although I do think these four characters are easier to get to like A tier with than these two characters. Red Arcueid's probably slightly easier because you have a fireball to deal with. All right, let's talk about Ciel. I think Ciel's probably like right about here. I think Ciel is like honestly like maybe something like might be something like this. I don't know. All these characters at the top are pretty nutty. These five are like just exceptionally like if you want some easy wins on ranked, these are the characters you play, especially Ciel. Like you literally just throw knives. Just keep throwing knives. You either jump, throw knives, stand, throw knives. When they get close, either activate Moon Drive and do your jump cancelable DP. Or you activate heat, hit confirm the knives in the super, occasionally go in and get a combo. There you go. You know how to play Ciel now. Congrats. You can easily get the A rank. She has to be definitely one of the easier characters to get competent with. It's probably something like this. Yeah, 236A to run away. Exactly. All right, so Shiki, I think Shiki is probably actually slightly above the Arcueids. I think he's a little bit easier than these two because he's probably just a better character, to be honest. But he has easier time in neutrals. So for example, his 236B's really strong move, -2 on block, and you get a full combo after. His 2C's probably like one of the best normals in the game. 7 frames and you can just like convert into a full combo after it. All of his pressure options are safe on block, so it doesn't even like matter what you cancel into. It's gonna be safe on block, so you just kind of do stuff. You don't need to learn like one basic bread and butter with him. Very easy. And then yeah, neutrals literally just like 236B, spam your charge JC with him, and then like run up in 2C. Very similar to Saber neutral. All right, so that being said, guys, do you have any other thoughts? Kouma should be next to Saber. All right, got you. I don't know. They're all they're all interchangeable. Like this top 6. So yeah, YouTube, hope this made sense. If you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments below. And you might be wondering, why is there a hard tier? Well, I kind of want to use it to emphasize that this game is pretty easy to learn. I think it's very friendly for newcomers, right? And I don't think there's anyone that actually takes a significant amount of work. And I do think that, you know, if you're using this list to help figure out who you want to play, there's no one that I think should be off reach, right? There are some characters I think are going to take a little more effort for you to learn. Like if you want to start winning right away, pick someone that's super easy tier, right? But if you don't mind putting a little extra work, it's not that much extra work because again, all the characters in this game are pretty easy. So yeah, YouTube, let me know. Do you guys agree with this list? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, I imagine you appreciate the content. So please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.